They attacked a hospital ship. Earth unleashes its war fleet. HFY sci-fi story. The stars shimmered in the black void as the peaceful convoy of Earth's medical fleet drifted silently through the expanse of the Andromeda frontier. The fleet was composed of hospital ships, each one a sanctuary for those in need, regardless of species, background, or affiliation. Humanity had long since abandoned the use of force for conquest and instead, through diplomacy and compassion, had built a reputation for spreading peace across the galaxy. But there are those who cannot be reasoned with. On the edges of the convoy, a long-range sensor alarm suddenly blared. Captain Elena Cortez, aboard the Unity, a medical ship designed to care for millions of wounded and ill, felt a cold wave wash over her. The proximity alert flickered and then pulsed again, closer this time. A new ship was approaching, one that wasn't responding to hails. Her heart sank as she recognized the distinctive black silhouette of the Marauders, a ruthless faction that had recently terrorized multiple systems. "Captain, they're closing in fast," Lieutenant Marcus Kavanaugh said, his voice tight with tension. "They're not responding to our hails. I think they're locking weapons." Elena's mind raced. The Marauders had long been a thorn in the galaxy's side, but attacking a hospital ship? That was a new low. They had crossed a line that no one, no matter how brutal, had dared to cross before. "Prepare the medical bays for incoming casualties," Elena ordered. Though she knew the situation was growing dire, she was a healer, not a soldier. Her ship was designed for saving lives, not for war. Still, she couldn't just sit idly by while the Marauders attacked her crew and patients. The Marauder ship fired first, a direct hit that knocked out the Unity's forward shields. The blast left a deep scar in the hull, and alarms echoed throughout the ship. Screams rang out from the medical bays, but there was no time for that now. "Get us out of here," Elena shouted, but before she could finish, the ship was rocked by another series of impacts. The Marauder ship's weapons were relentless, and the medical ship was no match in a fight. But Earth was not without recourse. Beneath the calm veneer of diplomacy and healing, there existed a well-hidden, far-reaching power, Earth's war fleet. From the depths of space, unseen by the Marauders, the Dreadnought and its sister ships began to emerge from hyperspace, silent, deadly, and fully armed. The Earth Defense Fleet had long been instructed to stay out of galactic politics unless absolutely necessary. But this was different. This wasn't just an attack on humanity. This was an attack on the very concept of compassion. Earth's commanders, who had once hoped for peaceful coexistence, had made a final decision. Enough was enough. "The fleet is inbound, Captain," Kavanaugh reported, his voice filled with a mixture of awe and urgency. "They're coming. They're coming for us." Elena could hardly believe her ears. The Earth fleet, a force so massive that its presence was felt in every corner of the galaxy, had never been used for something like this. She had always been proud of Earth's reputation for peaceful resolve, but as the Marauder ship bore down on her, she understood. There was a line that, once crossed, demanded a response. And the Marauders had crossed it. In the blink of an eye, the first salvo from the Dreadnought hit the Marauder ship with devastating force. The warships, designed to strike fear into the hearts of any aggressor, unleashed their fury upon the attackers. The Marauder ship shuddered under the barrage, its shields collapsing under the precision fire. "Get ready for impact," Elena shouted, but the Marauders had no time to retaliate. Before their own weapons could charge, the Dreadnought unleashed another wave of firepower, this time targeting their engines. The Marauder vessel spun out of control, its weapons falling silent. Within moments, the Marauders were no longer a threat. The silence that followed was heavy. Elena's chest tightened as she watched the monitor showing the destroyed Marauder ship drifting in space, its hull crackling with the remnants of the battle. She had never wanted this, never imagined she'd witness such destruction. But the Earth War Fleet had done what it was built to do, protect the innocent, no matter the cost. Over the comms, a voice, calm and resolute, spoke. "Captain Cortez, this is Admiral Heller of the Earth Defense Fleet. The threat has been neutralized. You are clear to continue your mission." Elena swallowed hard, staring at the blackened wreckage of the Marauder ship. She had hoped humanity would never need to call upon its war fleet, but when faced with the unthinkable, Earth had responded with the might of its defense forces. The universe would learn a lesson today. "Thank you, Admiral," Elena replied, her voice steady. though her heart still raced. But I wish we never had to do this. Not for us. Not for anyone. The Admiral's voice softened. Some lines, Captain, must never be crossed. Not even for the most vicious of enemies. Elena nodded. Even as her mind replayed the events, the galaxy would know that Earth, despite its image of peace, was not a place to be underestimated. If you threatened the innocent, if you attacked the helpless, Earth would unleash its wrath without hesitation. Humanity had always fought for the weak, the injured, the downtrodden, and now, it had shown that it would fight for itself, too. Continue the mission, Elena said quietly. We heal the wounded, we protect those who need us, but we also make sure they know we will not be pushed around. The Unity turned its course, resuming its peaceful journey through the stars, but a new understanding had been carved into the galaxy. There were no longer any doubts. Earth had shown the universe that compassion was its strength, but if pushed too far, it would unleash the fury of a species that had known hardship and had survived against all odds. And no one at all, would ever forget that again. The next few weeks passed in a surreal haze for Captain Elena Cortez. The Unity continued its mission, transporting supplies and offering medical care across the galaxy. But the attack and subsequent retaliation by Earth's war fleet had left an indelible mark on her. While the Marauders were gone, their attack had awakened something within her, a new understanding of the fragile balance between peace and the brutal necessity of defense. The galactic community took notice. News of the destruction of the Marauder ship spread quickly, and despite the unspoken outrage that had been simmering in the galaxy for years, there was a shift in the atmosphere. No longer could the galaxy look at Earth as just a peaceful, benevolent species. Earth was capable of far more than just compassion. One afternoon, while the Unity was docked at a medical outpost on a distant planet, Elena received a message from Earth Command. The transmission was marked urgent and came through a secure channel. She sat in her quarters, the weight of the past few weeks pressing heavily on her shoulders, and opened the message. Captain Cortez, the message began, the voice of Admiral Heller crackling through the static. This is a follow-up to the Marauder incident. The situation has escalated. Multiple factions, including some who had previously remained neutral, are now sending inquiries about Earth's stance on the galactic order. We need to understand your thoughts on how the Unity and Earth at large should respond going forward. Elena stared at the screen, processing the words. She had known this moment would come, the political fallout of Earth's decisive action. The Marauder attack had not been just a blow to Earth. It had shaken the foundation of the galaxy's power structures. There would be questions, and with those questions, there would be consequences. She leaned back in her chair, her mind racing. Earth had always been a beacon of hope, a sanctuary for those in need. But now, the galaxy had seen a side of humanity that was raw, unapologetic, and dangerous. There were those who would try to test Earth's resolve, seeking to exploit any cracks in the armor. Others might call for even harsher measures, pushing humanity further into the role of a military power. Captain Cortez took a deep breath. It was time to make a decision. After several minutes of contemplation, she keyed in her response. She had always been a healer at heart, but now, her role was changing. It was clear that Earth couldn't stand idly by anymore. Admiral Heller, she began, her voice steady but firm. Earth's actions were necessary, and we must ensure that such an attack never happens again. But we cannot become an empire, nor can we allow the galaxy to view us as conquerors. We are protectors, we defend the helpless, but we do so in the service of peace, not to impose our will, but to ensure that peace is maintained. The universe must know that if they threaten innocence, Earth will respond, but if they seek peace, we will offer it. She paused, reflecting on the weight of her words. It wasn't just about Earth anymore, it was about a new paradigm for the galaxy. Humanity had changed, but they could still be the leaders of compassion and strength. The transmission ended, and Elena leaned back in her chair. A part of her wondered if the galaxy would ever be the same, or if this was the beginning of a new era, one where the line between peace and war was always blurred, and where Earth stood as both a symbol of hope and an unyielding defender of the helpless. Days later, Elena was called to a meeting with the highest-ranking officials of Earth Command, including Admiral Heller and several diplomats. It was time to discuss the long-term ramifications of the Unity's mission and the broader response to the Marauder attack. As Elena entered the room, She was greeted by the Admiral, who gave her a nod of respect. The room fell silent as everyone took their seats. "Captain," Admiral Heller began, "you've earned the respect of the fleet. Your actions during the Marauder attack have solidified our position in the galaxy. But now we face the next challenge. How do we proceed? The galaxy will be watching, and some will try to test our resolve. The question is, how do we ensure that peace endures while remaining strong enough to protect it?" Elena stood tall, the weight of her role now clear. "We don't abandon our core principles. We remain true to the values that make us who we are: compassion, unity, and healing. But we also recognize that there are those who will never be moved by diplomacy alone. And for them, we must be prepared. We don't seek war, but we will not let it come to our doorstep unchallenged." The room was quiet for a moment. Then the diplomats exchanged looks of agreement. Earth had made its stand, and now, it was time to forge a new path forward. The decision was made that day. Earth would not only continue to be a beacon of hope and peace, but it would also strengthen its defense systems, ensuring that no one would ever again threaten its people or its allies. A new era had begun, one where Earth would walk the delicate line between compassion and defense, healing and power. As Captain Cortez left the meeting, she looked up at the stars outside the observation window. She knew the galaxy would test Earth, but she also knew something deeper. Humanity had survived the worst the universe could throw at them, and they had done so with dignity. They would not be pushed around, and they would never forget the lessons they had learned. No matter what came next, Earth would be ready. And the galaxy would never again doubt humanity's resolve. As months passed, Earth's new position in the galaxy became increasingly solidified. The initial shock of the Unity's destruction of the Marauder ship faded into the background, but the ripple effects were still felt across the stars. While many systems had once looked at Earth as a passive power, known only for its peacekeeping missions, they now recognized that Earth's resolve was stronger than they had imagined. The attack on a hospital ship had become a defining moment, a catalyst for change. Admiral Heller's strategic vision was one of deterrence, but he understood the importance of maintaining Earth's reputation as a force for peace. He knew that every action would be scrutinized, and the galaxy's perception of Earth would be shaped by its next moves. In the months following the attack, Earth expanded its diplomatic efforts, building alliances with previously neutral factions, strengthening its position in the Galactic Council, and sending out additional humanitarian missions. There was a concerted effort to show that Earth had not abandoned its mission of compassion and healing. But behind the scenes, military forces were also reinforced, ensuring that no one would underestimate Earth again. Captain Elena Cortez remained a symbol of that delicate balance. After the Marauder incident, she was given command of a new flagship, the Pax Eternum, a massive ship designed for both combat and humanitarian missions. Her first mission was to deliver vital medical supplies to a planet caught in the midst of a brutal civil war. As the Pax Eternum entered orbit, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy was watching. They weren't just delivering supplies, they were delivering a message. The people on the planet would be the first to see Earth's new role in the galaxy, a protector, a healer, and a force to be reckoned with. But not everyone was happy about this shift in Earth's identity. Captain, her executive officer, Commander Kalen, spoke with an edge of caution as he entered her command deck. "We've received a transmission from the Zenith Coalition. They're expressing concern over Earth's growing military presence. They've called for a special summit to discuss our future role in the galaxy." Elena nodded, her fingers tapping lightly on the command console. The Zenith Coalition was one of the largest federations in the galaxy, composed of a variety of species with a history of skepticism toward Earth's methods. "Are they threatening us?" she asked, already anticipating the answer. Kalen hesitated. "No, but they are insinuating that Earth is shifting away from its peaceful stance. They want to make sure we're not becoming another militaristic empire. Some are worried that Earth's new strength is just a front for expansion." Elena considered the request. The Zenith were right to be wary. Earth's actions had undeniably changed the perception of the human race, and some species had a long memory of conquest and oppression, something Earth had never been part of until now. "We'll attend the summit," Elena said, her voice firm, "and we will be clear about who we are. We won't abandon our core principles, but we can't let ourselves be vulnerable either." A few days later, Elena found herself aboard a diplomatic vessel. heading toward the summit on the capital world of the Zenith Coalition. The large hall was filled with representatives from dozens of species, all seated around a massive circular table. The atmosphere was tense, charged with unspoken concerns. Elena took her seat, her uniform pristine, and her expression calm but determined. The head of the Zenith Coalition, an ancient being named Kuthar, stood at the center of the room and addressed the assembly. We have invited Earth to this summit because, as of late, we find ourselves deeply concerned with your changing stance. Kuthar's voice echoed, commanding and full of authority. No one can deny the bravery and compassion you have shown over the centuries. But we are now seeing Earth wielding its military might. You attacked a ship in the name of peace. Tell us, Captain Cortez, is this the true face of humanity now? A galaxy-shaking force of war in the guise of healers? Elena met Kuthar's piercing gaze, feeling the weight of his words, and the weight of every pair of eyes on her. The question was loaded with suspicion, and the stakes couldn't be higher. She had to tread carefully, for the future of Earth's relations with the galaxy hung in the balance. We are healers, first and foremost, she began, her voice steady, but we also understand that healing is not possible when a threat to peace is allowed to fester. Our actions in the past have shown that we will fight for the helpless, for those who cannot defend themselves. But that is not the same as seeking conquest. We are not looking to rule the galaxy. We are not seeking empire. What we are doing is ensuring that the peace we bring is not easily shattered. The attack on the Unity was a stark reminder that there are forces out there who do not understand diplomacy. They only understand force. And Earth is now prepared to meet that force when necessary. She paused, letting her words sink in. But make no mistake, we will always offer peace first. We will always be the ones to heal, to protect, and to defend those who cannot defend themselves. We will never abandon those principles, but we will not shy away from standing against tyranny, oppression, or senseless violence. Our strength is in our resolve, not our desire for war. A murmur ran through the room. Elena could feel the tension shift slightly. The Zenith delegates exchanged glances, some thoughtful, others still skeptical, but Kuthar regarded her carefully, his ancient eyes narrowing. You speak with conviction, Captain Cortez, Kuthar said after a long silence, and perhaps that is what we need to understand, what Earth truly seeks. Not conquest, but protection. Perhaps we have misjudged you, but we will need to see if your actions align with your words. Elena nodded. I understand your concerns, and I am prepared to prove them wrong. Through our actions, not just words, we will show you who we are in the coming years. Earth stands for peace, but we will stand firm against any who seek to disrupt that peace. The summit continued, but Elena felt a small, hard-earned victory. She had done what she came to do, reaffirm Earth's commitment to its values, while making it clear that the galaxy would no longer see humanity as an easy target. Earth had taken its first steps toward a future where peace and strength went hand in hand. As the summit drew to a close, Elena stepped out of the chamber, her thoughts still churning. The path ahead would not be easy. There would be more challenges, more questions, and more tests of Earth's resolve. But she knew one thing for certain, Earth had shown the galaxy what it was capable of, and there was no going back. The message was clear, and the galaxy was watching. Earth would never again be underestimated, not by its allies, and certainly not by its enemies. And Captain Elena Cortez, the healer who had become a symbol of humanity's strength, would lead them forward into this new age with a steady hand. In the weeks following the summit, Earth's diplomatic landscape began to shift. The Zenith Coalition, still wary but increasingly respectful, had refrained from immediate retaliation or sanctions. There was an understanding that Earth wasn't an imperial power looking to dominate the galaxy, but neither was it a naive entity that would turn the other cheek when faced with threats. However, not all factions in the galaxy were so forgiving, nor so understanding. One such faction was the Vorner Dominion, a militaristic empire known for its brutal expansionist policies. The Dominion had long watched Earth's rise with suspicion, believing the human race to be a potential threat to their dominance. And with the Unity's destruction of the Marauder ship, the Dominion now saw an opportunity to challenge Earth's newfound resolve. Late one evening, as Elena stood in the observation deck aboard the Paxiternum, staring out at the glittering expanse of stars, the calm was shattered by an urgent transmission. It was from Earth Command. Captain Cortez, Admiral Heller's voice crackled over the calm. "We've detected a Vorner fleet entering Earth's territorial space. They've ignored all hails and are approaching Earth at full speed. It looks like they're planning something big." Elena's heart sank. The Vorner were known for their aggressive tactics, and if they intended to strike, this wouldn't be an isolated incident, it would be an invasion. "Understood, Admiral," Elena replied, her voice calm despite the storm building inside her. "I'll take the Pax Eternum to intercept them. We'll prepare for all contingencies." As soon as the transmission ended, Elena stood motionless for a moment, considering the weight of the situation. The Pax Eternum wasn't designed for full-scale combat, but Earth's war fleet had reinforced the outer systems, and the flagship was equipped with enough firepower to hold its own for a while. If the Vorner were testing Earth's resolve, it was time to show them exactly what Earth's resolve looked like. Minutes later, the Pax Eternum was in motion, its engines humming with power as it moved toward Earth's border. The ship's crew worked with an efficiency born from the lessons of the Marauder attack, preparing for potential battle while continuing to run its primary humanitarian mission. On board, Elena could feel the shift in mood. There was no longer the carefree air of diplomacy and healing. They were readying for war, but they wouldn't abandon their duty. Elena reached the bridge, where Kalen was already at his post. His expression was grim, his brow furrowed as he observed the incoming Vorner fleet on the tactical display. "Captain, their fleet is large," Kalen said, his voice tight with concern. "They've got 5 warships, heavy on cruisers. If they want to test our defenses, they'll find us unprepared for a full-scale engagement." "We're not here to fight, Kalen," Elena said, her voice steady. "We're here to protect Earth, and if they want to start something, we'll be ready." She turned to the crew. "Prepare for combat, but we hold fire until they give us no choice." As the Vorner fleet grew closer, Elena's thoughts raced. The Vorner would never respond to diplomacy. They were a race driven by conquest and control. They would test Earth's will until it broke. But that wasn't going to happen. Earth's response would be measured, calculated, and precise. Then the unthinkable happened. Without warning, the Vorner ships opened fire. The first salvo of plasma missiles shot toward the Pax Eternum, barely missing the ship's shields. Elena's hand gripped the arm of her chair. "Return fire," she commanded. The Pax Eternum's cannons erupted in a burst of light, striking the lead Vorner cruiser dead center. The impact sent shockwaves through space, sending the cruiser into a brief, unstable spin. The Vorner fleet responded with renewed ferocity, and the battle began in earnest. But Earth's war fleet, hidden in the depths of space, was already moving to intercept. Admiral Heller's fleet arrived just as the Pax Eternum was caught in the heat of battle. The Vorner, realizing they were now facing far greater resistance than expected, shifted their strategy. The Pax Eternum's crew, under Elena's command, worked in perfect synchronicity, countering every move the Vorner made. The precision of Earth's weapons, combined with their knowledge of the Vorner tactics, slowly started to turn the tide. With each passing minute, the Vorner fleet began to falter. The battle raged, but Earth's forces, though smaller in number, were relentless, and they were united in their purpose. At the height of the conflict, Elena received a transmission from the leader of the Vorner fleet, an imposing general named the Rick. His image appeared on the holocom, a snarl curling his lip. "You are brave, humans," the Rick said, his voice thick with disdain, "but your resistance is futile. You cannot fight us all. You cannot stand against the Vorner Dominion." Elena's voice was icy as she responded. "We're not trying to stand against you, the Rick. We're standing for something bigger than you. You may have power, but we have resolve, and we will never let you threaten Earth." A final barrage of plasma cannons from the Pax Eternum, combined with a well-timed strike from the Earth fleet, shattered Therek's flagship. The Vorner fleet, their morale shattered, began to retreat, though not without casualties of their own. As the dust settled and the battle subsided, Elena watched the retreating Vorner ships vanish into the vastness of space. Earth had won, again, but this victory felt different. This time, it wasn't just about protecting Earth. It was about sending a message to the galaxy. Earth was no longer passive. It was a protector, and it would stand firm against any threat, no matter the cost. In the aftermath of the battle, the Vorner Dominion would send a formal message to Earth Command, a request for peace talks. It was a sign of their acknowledgement that they could not break Earth's resolve. Back aboard the Pax Eternum, Elena allowed herself a brief moment of reflection. The galaxy had watched. And now, Earth's message was clear. Diplomacy would always be the first choice. But Earth would not shy away from using its strength to defend what it held dear. The Marauder attack had proven that. The Vorner attack had confirmed it. As she stood on the observation deck once more, staring at the stars, Elena knew that Earth's place in the galaxy had been irrevocably changed. And though the path ahead would continue to be filled with challenges, she felt more certain than ever that humanity had the strength to navigate it. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. Earth's resolve was unbreakable. As Earth continued to recover from the Vorner Dominion's attempted incursion, the broader galaxy began to take notice. The conflict had escalated quickly, but the outcome was undeniable. Earth had stood its ground. Not only had Earth fended off a formidable attack, but it had done so with strategic precision, showing the galaxy that humanity was not just a compassionate race of healers, but also a powerful and determined force when the need arose. The Vorner, their pride wounded by the defeat, had retreated into their territory, but the message had been sent. Earth was not to be underestimated, but despite the diplomatic victory, the events of the battle had left a lingering unease across Earth Command. The question now was whether the galaxy's newfound respect for Earth would hold, or if other factions, emboldened by the Dominion's retreat, would test Earth's resolve in the future. For Captain Elena Cortez, the weight of leadership had only grown. Her actions during the Marauder incident had proven Earth's strength, and the battle with the Vorner had solidified her place as a symbol of humanity's transformation. But with this newfound role came a responsibility to ensure that Earth didn't fall into the trap of becoming too focused on military might. The challenge now was maintaining the delicate balance between strength and compassion. One day, as she sat in her quarters aboard the Pax Eternum, reviewing reports from across the galaxy, she was interrupted by a message from Earth Command. It was from Admiral Heller, and it came through with a tone of urgency. "Captain Cortez, we need to talk. A situation has arisen that requires your immediate attention." Elena felt a familiar chill run down her spine. Every time Earth Command used words like immediate attention, it was usually bad news. She keyed in the response, and moments later, Admiral Heller's face appeared on the holoscreen. "Captain, I don't want to alarm you, but we've received reports of a new, unidentified faction operating on the outskirts of Earth-controlled space. They've been raiding supply convoys, taking prisoners, and sending cryptic messages warning us not to interfere. They're calling themselves the Vanguard, and we don't know who they are or what they want." Elena's brow furrowed. "The Vanguard?" she repeated. "We've never encountered them before?" "Not directly," Heller replied, his tone grim. "But we believe they may be the remnants of factions we've dealt with in the past, possibly from the same criminal syndicates we faced with the Marauders. We don't have much information, but they're becoming more aggressive. We need you to investigate. We need to find out who they are, what they want, and how to stop them before things escalate." Elena nodded slowly. "Understood, Admiral. I'll set course immediately. We can't afford another incident like the Marauder attack." The connection ended, and Elena stood, her mind already calculating the best course of action. The Pax Eternum was not designed for long-range reconnaissance, but she knew that her reputation as a leader, having dealt with both the Marauder threat and the Vorner Dominion, would give her the credibility needed to navigate whatever new conflict awaited her. Within hours, the Pax Eternum was on its way, cutting through space at full speed toward the reported location of the Vanguard's activities. Elena stood at the helm, her mind running through the possible scenarios. The Marauders had been a chaotic force, unpredictable and without a clear goal. The Vorner had been a military threat, driven by a thirst for dominance. But the Vanguard was different. They were more methodical, more elusive, and that made them even more dangerous. As the ship approached the last known coordinates of the Vanguard's raids, Elena ordered her crew to deploy scouts, small, fast ships designed to get a closer look without drawing attention. The tension on the bridge was palpable. The unknowns were stacking up. "Captain, we're approaching the sector where the raids occurred," Kalen reported from his station. "We should have visual confirmation within the next 10 minutes. Elena watched the empty vastness of space as the ship continued its journey, the feeling of inevitability settling over her. She had faced many challenges before, But this felt different. The unknown nature of the vanguard left her uneasy, and it was becoming clear that humanity's presence in the galaxy, once seen as a force of peace, was now a magnet for the darker, more dangerous elements of the universe. Suddenly, the quiet of space was broken by a blip on the radar, a large ship, positioned far off in the distance, its silhouette barely visible against the backdrop of the stars. "There it is," Kalen said, his voice tinged with surprise. "It's not registering as any known faction. It's like they're trying to hide their identity." Elena's instincts kicked in. Send a request for communication. See if they respond. A few tense moments passed before a distorted transmission crackled through the ship's comms. A voice came through, deep and cold. "This is the Vanguard," the voice said. "We've been watching you, Earth. Your time has come. The galaxy is ours to reshape, and you will not stand in our way." Elena felt a chill in her chest. This wasn't an attack, it was a declaration of war, pure and simple. The Vanguard were not just rogue elements. They were a cohesive force with clear intentions. They had been waiting for the right moment, and Earth had become a target. "You're mistaken," Elena replied, her voice unwavering. "We don't seek control over the galaxy, but we will protect our own. We don't know who you are, but I'm giving you one chance to stand down. Leave now, and we will seek no further conflict." The silence that followed felt like an eternity, before the voice returned, this time filled with a mocking tone. "Foolish humans," the Vanguard's voice echoed. "You still think you can negotiate with us? This galaxy will be reshaped by force, and you are already too late." With that, the transmission was cut off abruptly, and Elena's eyes narrowed. The Vanguard had shown their hand. They were not interested in negotiation. They wanted to break Earth's resolve, challenge humanity's strength, and reshape the galaxy in their image. But Elena knew one thing for certain: Earth had learned its lesson. The galaxy had seen that humanity would not simply roll over. They had already taken the first step toward the Vanguard's defeat by refusing to back down. "Prepare for battle," Elena ordered. "We will make sure they understand the consequences of underestimating us." The Pax Eternum moved into battle formation, the crew working as one, a unified force determined to show that Earth's strength was not to be taken lightly. The Vanguard may have been bold, but they had no idea what they were about to face. The tension in the Pax Eternum's command center was palpable. The Vanguard had thrown down the gauntlet, and now it was Earth's turn to respond. Captain Elena Cortez stood at the center of the bridge, her gaze fixed on the distant silhouette of the Vanguard ship. The comms had fallen silent after their last exchange, but Elena could sense the threat looming in every corner of the galaxy. The Vanguard were not mere raiders. They were a carefully organized force, and they had their sights set on Earth. "Captain," Kalen's voice broke the stillness. "They're moving. It looks like they're preparing to charge. We're too far to engage at full power yet, but if they keep this heading, they'll close the gap in 5 minutes." Elena nodded, her jaw tightening. "We can't let them dictate the tempo. Prepare the ship for combat. All systems on standby. I don't care if they're just showing off a big ship. We're not letting them take the first shot." She turned to the tactical officer. "Set course for a wide arc around them. We'll outmaneuver them if they try to engage head-on." The ship's engines hummed louder, the Pax Eternum adjusting its trajectory. The Vanguard ship, massive and imposing, closed in slowly, but the crew aboard Earth's flagship moved with a precision that rivaled any military fleet in the galaxy. Their goal wasn't just to survive the engagement, but to send a message that Earth wasn't just about defense anymore. It was about proving that humanity could be just as dangerous when the need arose. As the Pax Eternum moved into position, Elena stood tall, watching the holographic display. Her heart pounded in her chest, but she knew this was the moment to prove Earth's place in the galaxy once and for all. "Get me a calm link with them," she ordered. "I want them to hear me before they make their move." After a brief delay, the cold, calculating voice of the Vanguard's leader filled the bridge once again, though this time it sounded more amused than menacing. "We've calculated your moves, Captain Cortez. Your ship is small compared to our forces. Your people will break beneath our boot, just like the others before you." "Your calculations are flawed," Elena replied, her voice calm but resolute. "You underestimate Earth's resolve. If you want to try and break us, come and get us. But know this, whatever plans you have, we're going to stop them." For a brief moment, The line went silent, and Elena could feel the weight of the vanguard stare across the void. But then, the voice returned, this time, colder. You will regret this, Earth. We will show you the cost of defiance. Before Elena could respond, the vanguard ship's cannons came alive, firing high-energy blasts in quick succession. The bolts streaked through space, illuminating the dark expanse with bright trails of light. The first few shots missed their mark, but it was clear the vanguard were testing Earth's defenses. Shields holding, Kalen called out, his voice steady. We've absorbed the initial impact, but we can't take many more direct hits like that. Return fire, but don't engage at full power, Elena ordered. We need to draw them in. They'll be too confident if we just run. The Pax Eternum fired back, its cannons roaring as beams of concentrated energy raked across the vanguard ship's shields. The vanguard were quick to retaliate, but Elena had anticipated this. She had studied the vanguard's tactics and knew they'd come in hot, overconfident that their firepower would overwhelm Earth's forces. The vanguard had no idea that Earth wasn't just defending anymore. They were fighting to survive, and that made all the difference. Adjust trajectory, Elena barked as the vanguard ship began to swing around, trying to lock onto their position. If they're going to fight, we'll fight on our terms. The Pax Eternum performed a sharp turn, using its superior agility to outmaneuver the much larger vanguard ship. As the distance between them closed, Elena's crew launched a series of decoy drones, drawing fire away from the ship's main hull while the real attack came from a different angle. Captain, we're in position for a full salvo, Kalen said. Shields are still holding strong. We've got them right where we want them. Then let's show them what Earth is really made of, Elena replied, her voice laced with a quiet determination. With a swift motion, Elena gave the order to fire. The Pax Eternum's main weapon systems unleashed a storm of precision-guided plasma missiles. The vanguard ship tried to retaliate, but the Pax Eternum was already on the move again, dodging the incoming blasts with grace. The missiles tore through the vanguard's shields, leaving deep cracks in their once impenetrable barrier. For the first time since the conflict began, the vanguard seemed to hesitate. Elena watched as their ship's weapons faltered. The vanguard hadn't expected Earth to be able to hurt them, not like this. They had thought Earth was just a target, ripe for conquest. Now they realized that humanity had learned to defend itself. Before the vanguard could recover, another barrage hit, reaching their shields entirely and striking the heart of their ship. It wasn't enough to destroy them, but the message was clear. Earth was not going to roll over. They're pulling back, Kalen reported, his eyes wide with disbelief. They're retreating. The vanguard fleet is disengaging. Elena felt a surge of satisfaction but tempered it with caution. She wasn't about to let Earth's guard down too soon. The vanguard may have retreated, but that didn't mean the threat was over. There was still much they didn't know about the mysterious faction, and the next move could come at any time. Send out a transmission to Earth Command, Elena ordered. Inform them of the situation. We've bought some time, but I want every force on alert. I don't trust that they're done with us. As the Pax Eternum turned back toward Earth, Elena gazed out at the stars once again, her thoughts racing. The vanguard had retreated, this time, but Earth's position in the galaxy was now unambiguous. The universe had learned a harsh truth: humanity could be a force for peace, but when pushed, Earth would never hesitate to defend itself, and that defense was stronger than anyone had given them credit for. The vanguard may have thought Earth was an easy target, but now they knew better, and the next time they came, Earth would be waiting.